We'll start by importing text input from React Native. Now inside of our view, we'll open it and reclose it, and then render our text input that we imported. Then we'll add a few properties to our text input. We'll add placeholder, then we'll type what needs to be done, which will display when there's no text inside of our text input. We'll then add blur on submit. We'll then say false for this prop. Then we'll also define a return key type, which we'll say is done. Now we'll go create our styles. We'll say const styles equals style sheet dot create, which is a function that takes an object. We'll then add our input style, which will give it the flex1 property and a height of 50. Now we'll apply that style to our input. Now we'll go add our header style, which will give a padding horizontal of 16, a flex direction of row to tell it to render its children in a row style rather than a column style. We'll then give it a justify content of space around to render space around any child items that it has. We'll then add align items center, which will tell it to render its children in the center horizontally because it is a flex direction row. Now we'll go add our style to our view by typing style equals styles.header. And now when we refresh, we can see that there's 16 pixels on both sides, and we can type into our text input. Now we'll go into our app, and we'll create a constructor. Takes props, we'll call super props, and we'll define this dot state, which is equal to an object, and we'll give value of an empty string. This will hold our value for our text input. We'll also add an items, which is an empty array, which will hold the items that we want to add to our to-do list. Now we'll also create a handle add item function, and then we'll go bind this dot handle add item equals this dot handle add item dot bind this in our constructor. Now we'll pass value equals this dot state dot value to our header. We'll also pass on add item and pass in this dot handle add item, and we'll also add on change equals a function which will take the value and call this dot set state, and we'll then pass in our value to set our state with the value of the text that gets given to us. Now inside of our handle add item, we'll say if not this dot state dot value, then we'll return. So we won't add any empty text to the array. We'll then say const new items is equal to an array. We'll spread the old items into our new array. We'll then add a new object, which will give a key, which will just be a new unique identifier, which will be date.now. We'll then add text of this.state.value to add the text of the value that's been entered. And then we'll also add complete of false. Then we'll do this.setState, which takes an object of items, and we'll pass in new items and also a value of nothing to clear out the text input. Now that we have this all set up, we can go into our header and we can wire everything up. So we can say value equals this.props.value because we're passing in the state as a prop now. We'll then say on change text equals this.props.onChange. And then additionally, we'll add an on submit editing, and we'll say this.props.onAddItem, which means whenever they press the done button, the on add item function will be called. Now if we refresh our emulator and then we type in anything into our text input and then click the done button, we can see that our keyboard stays open because the blur on submit. The value is cleared because we set state of value to nothing, and a new item was added to the array.